Right now on WLKY, a special presentation from the archives honoring our veterans.
Hello, I'm Rick Van Hoos. Today we're taking you back into the WLKY archives to honor our veterans. We're sharing stories that we told in the past, featuring those from our community who have served our country. Many of the people you will see in these stories are no longer with us, but their contributions, their dedication, and their memories remain. We begin in 1994 with a two-part story of a Kentucky veteran jumping out of an airplane on the anniversary of D-Day.
I have something to tell you. My parents married on the 6th June 1944.
It's Saturday morning, June 4th, the day before the jump. French and American military officials are meeting with the veterans in a hangar at Caen Airport for a briefing on equipment in the drop zone.
Again, the parachute is a ram air configuration, some with 9 cells, some with 7 cells.
And you're jumping out of an airplane at 71.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of men here older than I am. 83. And he'll be there.
To find the reason for Williams' participation, you have to turn back the hands of time by 50 years. D-Day was not only the biggest military invasion in history, it was also one of the bloodiest. Williams saw his first casualties just after his plane crossed the English Channel.
Just before we jumped, I was looking at, before we stood up and hooked up and jumped, I was looking out that door, and I did see one of our planes. It must have been a direct hit because it just turned into a big ball of fire.
One death made an enormous impact on the Northern Kentucky native. It's something he's never forgotten or gotten over.
This is the American Cemetery in Colville. It's perched on a bluff overlooking Omaha Beach, the scene of some of the fiercest fighting on D-Day. The remains of 9,386 GIs are buried here, including the lone casualty in Bob Williams' unit.
Joe Slazarczyk was in my squad. He was my radio operator that I had assigned to D Company, and he got killed on the 13th of June, which was 8 days into the operation.
The two were best friends, and shortly before D-Day, they posed for a photograph in England.
Pictures are going to be next to your hearts?
That's where it is right now.
Let's see it.
Joe Slazarczyk. We're dedicating our jump to Joe.
The briefing ends. Everything is in readiness. The only thing that can prevent tomorrow's tribute is the weather. Rain is falling like tears. The tears shed for young men like Joe Slazarczyk half a century ago. The drop zone was the same. The aircraft was the same. And most incredible of all, the participants were the same.
We just couldn't believe it was happening, especially when we got on the C-47 this morning and looked it over and so forth. That was a big thrill.
20 elderly men, including 71-year-old Bob Williams of Northern Kentucky, recreated their historic mission. They leaped into the sky at an altitude of 3,000 feet and floated to Earth before a huge crowd of spectators. Some of the ex-paratroopers were right on target. Others were far off the mark. But all marched off the field with a great sense of accomplishment. How did the experience compare to D-Day?
This was a piece of cake, even though I got muddy. There's no comparison. It was dark, and we'd been on that airplane for 2 hours, bouncing around with anti-aircraft fire, and you didn't know where you were going. At least we had an idea where we were going this time.
After the drop, the D-Day veterans joined ranks with present-day members of the Army Airborne for a triumphant march through a place they liberated 50 years ago.
Tens of thousands of people are lining the streets of the little town of St. Mary Glees today. For some of them, D-Day isn't something out of a history book. They lived through it.
And we have seen the war. And we were very happy to see American army to deliver us of the war.
The procession ended at the town square for a ceremony honoring the veterans. However, Bob Williams paid scant attention to the speeches. He was thinking about the men laid to rest on a nearby hillside overlooking the sea.
We were older guys are going to be gone here in a few years, and hopefully they will carry on this memorial every year.
Bruce Dunbar, Channel 32 News.
Our next story is from 1996. Reporter Michael Gargiulo traveled to Bardstown, Kentucky, a community that lost many young lives in the Vietnam War.
There is a plaque honoring the veterans of Vietnam right by the courthouse in Bardstown, but in many ways the entire city is a memorial to the sacrifice of that war. 16 soldiers from Bardstown out of a population of just 7,000 have their names listed on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, a replica of which has been set up in Shively this weekend. 5 of them were from the same Kentucky National Guard unit.
A good many of us all went to school together, grade school and high school. We had 7 sets of brothers. We had brothers-in-law. We had uncle-nephew relationships, father-in-law and son-in-law relationships, and everybody were good friends.
The Bardstown Artillery Unit was rated as one of the best in all of Southeast Asia. But on June 19, 1969, during a fierce North Vietnamese night attack, 5 men were killed, including David B. Collins.
The day that it may have happened over there, you get this funny feeling over here, you know, I get this funny feeling, but then you think, no, it's all in your head.
23 years later, those who lived and those who lost share the same community.
Well, whenever you're downtown, you're going to see some of these people, and there's some of them you see virtually every day.
I think it's great that they made it back. Of course, I think every day, why couldn't David have made it back too? But you know, it's just one of those things.
I think if you just never look back, that somehow or another there's something still haunting you. And I don't have a problem looking back on it.
In 1989, the unit held a 20-year reunion, a chance to see how some young soldiers had become middle-aged men, a chance also to remember those young men who will forever be soldiers.
Both Patsy Collins and Donald Parrish say they plan on visiting the memorial this weekend. The wall itself will move on to St. Louis on Monday. But what will remain in Bardstown, Kentucky, is memories of a town's inordinate contribution to the war in Vietnam. Michael Gargiulo, Channel 32 News.
In 1991, WLKY shared the story of Otis Herron, a World War II veteran and ham operator who spent years communicating with veterans and helping make critical connections.
I have you weak at the present time, over.
Otis Herron has been rag chewing in his shack since 1941. He's an amateur ham radio operator, and rag chewing is ham for talking to people all over the world. These days, he spends more time than ever in his attic.
Saudi Arabia, I've been copying more traffic than at any other time. So has a lot of the other Mars operators, Army, Navy also. Hello, excuse me. I have a call from Randy. Stand by one. Have you made these phone patches before? Okay, when he says over, you know what to do there.
This is just one of thousands of calls Otis has been patching for military men and women since 1970 when he joined the military-affiliated radio service, or MARS. This one is from Howard Air Force Base in Panama.
Yes, I know, Mom. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to be a group of us probably going out to eat, so it will be all right, over.
Otis served in the Air Force during World War II and is persistent about getting his calls through. He says he knows how important it is. This call took almost a half hour to make.
Well, sometimes you're lucky, sometimes, you're not, and just look at it like that, Of course, I hate it when they don't, get to talk to their people.
Right now, there are no Mars stations in Saudi Arabia.
I couldn't make contact with the boys in Saudi because their radio is not strong enough to reach 8,000 miles.
But by chance, one night Otis did make contact with a sailor.
At first I didn't know where he was at, but when he said he was on a ship, but he couldn't say where, I knew then where he was at.
Though contact with the Middle East is usually impossible, every day this shack serves as a receiving station for written messages from soldiers on their way to the region.
I'm in Germany on way to Saudi. Love you all. We'll write soon. We'll write. Am doing fine. Just short messages like this. It's called a Marsgram.
Otis spends about 4 or 5 hours a day calling families in 9 states to relay messages.
Roger, Randy. Okay, have a good one. Talk to you later. Out.
Otis says he's glad to pass messages to families here in the States. So if you have someone overseas and you get a call from a Mars operator, don't hang up. It's only someone like Otis trying to help you keep in touch with someone you love. Dawn Grimes, Channel 32 News.
During the Persian Gulf War, students at Maple Elementary in Jeffersonville wrote letters to Petty Officer Ned Yeager. WLKY was there in 1990 when he visited the class and answered their questions in person.
Dear STG-1 Yeager, I wish I could see you in your uniform, but I can't.
Maple Elementary School wrote letters to Petty Officer Ned Yeager while he was in the Persian Gulf. Now it's his turn to answer their questions in person.
What is it like over there?
Have you ever had storms like on a rainy day and waves go up about 40 feet high or something like that?
If we do have war, you think the gas prices will go up?
From the humorous to the serious, it's obvious war weighs heavily on these young minds.
Do you know if we do have a war, when it would be?
I think probably January 16th, January 17th is when it would start.
Is food good?
No. The food's like your food here, probably, where we got green hot dogs once in a while.
From hot dogs to a possible draft, the fourth graders are curious about everything. Yeager tells the students war will be short, perhaps less than 1 month.
The ship that I'm on, we would shoot bullets onto the shore so that the Marines can land on shore.
Ned Yeager's battleship was one of the first to respond to the Persian Gulf crisis. Now he hopes it's one of the last to go back. He wows the crowd when he tries to explain how American military superiority will end the conflict fast.
On the battleships, what they say is they shoot Volkswagens out of their guns because the bullets are this tall. They're 16 inches around, which are about this big, and they weigh over 3,000 pounds.
Finally, the timing of Ned Yeager's visit is interesting. During the Vietnam War, he was the same age as these students, and he was asking the same questions. John Boll, Channel 32 News.
Being able to reach back into our archives and share these stories is a way to honor all veterans by keeping their memories and experiences alive. And back in 2000, students at Paoli High School launched a project with that same purpose.
It's a generation where most everybody in my age served when they were called to serve.
These stories of World War II were told by the men who were there to the students from Paoli High School interested enough to listen. Their goal with the project is to record the memories of the men so future generations never forget.
She wanted our input on interviewing World War II veterans of Orange County, and basically the whole class said they would be interested in filming the interviews, not necessarily giving them. So then she talked to the journalism class, and they decided they would do the interviews. We would film them, and a photographer would go along to snap a few photos for the school newspaper.
These are the same old men the kids probably passed in town hundreds of times, never knowing their stories.
After watching the tapes, seeing what they've done for our country, seeing what they've been through, I definitely have a new respect for that generation.
The students were honored in Indiana and Washington, D.C. for their video and booklet written about the heroes who saved the free world. Remember, for most of these kids, this was the first interview they'd ever done. What an eye-opening experience.
One of the men had to go and clean up one of the concentration camps after we had gained control of that, and so he told stories of what that was like and what he saw and experienced. We had several students that had come back and they had cried during the interview with some of the things that the veterans had said.
This project just goes to prove that a 16 and a 76-year-old can work together, better understand and relate to each other in a very powerful way, bridging the generation gap. From Paoli High School, Joe Orlando, News Channel 32, WLKY.
In 1989, we met a young boy facing a terminal illness with one wish. He wanted to be a soldier. So the folks at Fort Knox made it happen.
These are all your tanks that are out here that are going to fire. The red flag means that they have ammunition and they're loaded and ready to fire, okay?
10-year-old Keith Schick says he wants to be a soldier. That is one dream he'll probably never realize. But the soldiers at Fort Knox brought Keith a little closer to that dream, at least for a day. Executive Officer Paul Oskavaric.
Everyone was really happy to get involved, showing him about our training. We gave him a ride on a tank this morning. We gave him a ride in a personnel carrier, and we showed him a lot of training, and he was really happy.
Dressed in full combat gear, Keith and his mom and dad arrived at the firing range. Then commanding officers briefed him on his next assignment, actually giving the orders to fire the tanks.
Fire!
This was all part of a day-long wish for Keith, made possible by the Army Reserves and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Keith's favorite part of his adventure wasn't giving commands. What was your favorite part of the day?
I'd say eating with them.
For Keith's parents, it's hard knowing each experience like this could be their last.
We live each day at a time. We try to live the best quality, and quantity doesn't matter.
Sandra Hughes, Channel 32 News.
In 1989, we met a Springfield pharmacist named John Kelly. The World War II veteran was involved in 6 battles during his time at sea and proudly shared his story with Joe Orlando.
We had another one here, Carol. Vernon Hood, we've got to get this Cefzil, 500 milligram, one twice a day for 10 days.
Pharmacist John Kelly has spent all but a few years of his life here in Springfield, Kentucky. This is where John was when he wasn't in Springfield. A 21-year-old turret officer aboard the USS Maryland in the Pacific Ocean fighting the Japanese.
I knew one thing, I didn't want to be a Marine, I didn't want to be an Army boy because I was a farm boy. We had a 300-acre farm, and I knew all about crawling around in mud, and knew all about flies and mosquitoes, and they couldn't teach me more about it, so I wanted to get in the Navy where I could take a bath every day.
Kelly was involved in 6 battles aboard the USS Maryland.
And the Maryland was the first big battleship with 16-inch guns, and it has 2 per turret, it had 4 turrets, and it takes 102 boys to shoot that gun.
On June 22, 1944, a Japanese torpedo hit the battleship on the port bow.
It was a 1 in 1 million chance that the ship didn't blow up, because the torpedo hit in front where there was gas and the powder of number 1 turret. And so we made it.
John Kelly proudly displays battle scenes in his pharmacy so everyone knows how he feels about his country and the men who gave their lives for it. In 10 years, there's not going to be many World War II veterans left. We need to hear from people like John Kelly to appreciate the sacrifices they've made for all of us. From Springfield, Kentucky, Joe Orlando, News Channel 32, WLKY.
Military families and loved ones are often separated for long periods of time, and sometimes major milestones just can't wait for a reunion.
Happy holidays from Kabul, Afghanistan.
He had it all planned out. Over several months, specialist Nicholas Guesswine took photos in and around Kabul, knowing everyone back home over the holidays would be curious about Afghanistan's landscape.
I love you, honey, and I can't wait to get home to you.
But the video had a twist, a climax his girlfriend Brittany didn't see coming.
He's not good at surprising me. I always know all the secrets, but not this one.
I got her that time, though.
Nicholas was about to make a commitment bigger than he made for his country with the Indiana National Guard.
At the end, I proposed. Brittany, Danielle, Tevis, will you marry me? And paused and let my sister Christy Nash kneel down and give her the ring for me in my place. And
it's pretty amazing.
Yep.
Nicholas had recruited his sister a long time before that, needing her to scout jewelry shops for a ring.
She would then show them to Nick on the internet, and then he didn't like any of the ones I liked, so then he'd show her which ones he liked, and then she'd say, oh, do you like this one, do you like that one? And we weren't agreeing on anything, so it only made her job even harder.
The 22-year-olds finally came to a truce on this ring. And once Nicholas got home from the war, he proposed again in person and faced a new battle, planning a wedding.
Because this is a good type of stress.
Yeah.
Where are you going on your honeymoon?
We don't know yet. Maybe Hawaii. Yeah, not Kabul, no.
I think I might stay in the United States.
John Charlton, WLKY News Channel 32.
We end with a hometown hero story from 2004. I had the pleasure of profiling a special run done in honor of veterans by a veteran himself.
His heart was pounding and his legs were aching, but there was no way this former Marine was going to drop the flag and let anyone down, especially a friend.
There was no doubts at first. A lot of prayers on the way. As I ran, you know, in that cold weather, without prepping, without running, prepping myself and stretching enough, your legs start to cramp, and every step is painful. And but you know, yes, the Marine Corps did teach me to adapt and overcome certain situations. I've been in worse situations.
Max said he prayed a lot, and sure, he wanted to quit. Are you kidding? But he believed in the mission and supported the cause.
I did not want to put Max out. I didn't want to ask him to help. There was just no question he was going to help and stand behind the issue, and God love him. I couldn't have done it without him.
I know that the Marines taught me any soldier goes into battle as a loner, goes home alone, and that means in a body bag.
Brad wasn't alone on this day, and neither were the veterans. Max had their back, and it's the stuff legends are made, or in this case, traditions born.
I really thought the day was over. I mean, here we are trying to establish the first annual Jefferson Veterans Day run, and I thought the dream just ended. And I look out of the corner of my eye, and here's this guy without the proper running gear on, grabs the flag, jumps out in the rain, and just takes off, and without hesitation.
Hometown hero, in your opinion?
Absolutely a hometown hero, will always be a hometown hero.
The Marines' motto is Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Max Maxfield certainly was, is, and always will be.
And it was raining and it was cold, but that's nothing compared to what our veterans have had to endure in the past or have to endure over in Iraq, those situations. We didn't have bullets flying at us. Maybe a few cars every now and again.
WLKY honors and celebrates the contributions and dedication of all veterans. We salute their resiliency and sacrifices. Whether they served in times of peace or war, their unwavering commitment deserves our gratitude and respect. Thank you. For WLKY, I'm Rick Van Hoos.